Hi, my name is Derek Sinistrero, and I'm a sales engineer here at Sweetwater Sound. And today we're going to talk about changing drum heads and tuning drums. Now I've got a couple drums here that we're going to show examples of, and one is a floor tom, and of course that will kind of translate to all the toms in the drum set. And then we have a snare drum, which of course is the most important drum in our kit, and we'll talk about getting that changed and getting that tuned up. So let's get started with this floor tom. I've got a new Evans drum head here that I'm going to put on, and I'm going to seat that onto the bearing edge of the drum. One thing I always do is take a look at the bearing edge to make sure that there's no dings or dents in it, because of course this is the most important part of where the shell connects with the head. So we want to get that on there, then put our hoop back on. Now this drum here has these automatic quick release lugs on them. So it's really kind of nice because you can change the heads very quickly, and that's on the Yamaha drums. So I'm just getting it finger tight. Now I'm going to begin to bring the wrinkles out of the head. And sometimes you may hear the drum head crack a little bit when you do that, and that's fine. It's just the glue releasing. Okay, so I've got pretty much the flabs are out of the drum at this point. Now I'm going to take a look at the bottom head. Now I'm not going to change this, but I just want to make sure it's tuned up and that it's where I want it. The bottom head I tend to tune a little bit higher pitched than the batter head. So again, I've got it already kind of finger tight. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go about 1.5 full turns. Also notice I'm going back and forth on the drum. And what that does is it allows the drum to be tuned evenly instead of going all one side, then the other side, and the rim begins to get uneven. We want to go back and forth on the drum. And you'll begin to hear the pitch of the drum as you start to bring it up. Now I'm going to actually go through and I'm going to tap at each lug position to hear the pitch of the head. And they're all kind of different. So I'm going to pick one that's a little higher, and I'm going to bring them all up to that same one. So that's pretty close right there. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the batter head. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that same thing that I did on the bottom head on the top. I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to listen to the pitch. I'm going to try to get this head in tune with itself. Now you'll notice I'll put my finger in the middle, and what that does is it helps eliminate some of the overtones so I can hear the pitch a little better over on the edge. Okay, so that's fairly in tune with itself. Now, again, as you noticed, I didn't tune that up very much at all. Usually I'm tuning this to just above where it's flabby, so it has some response to it, and the bottom is going to give me pitch and give me tone. Okay, now I'm going to hit this drum, and let's kind of see how it sounds. Great, so it's got a good resonance to it, and most important to me is it feels good as well. Now if this was a mounted tom, I would also, part of the process is I would put it back onto the mount on the drum set, because that's going to change how it's going to sound and how it's going to feel. And so I would fine tune it in relation to how it feels now mounted on the drum. Now usually what I'll do is I'll do that same concept with each of the toms, and when I put them all together, let's say I've got 4 toms, then I'm going to check them and see how they are relative to one another. Usually it comes out pretty good, because the diameter of the drum is going to really help dictate where the pitch sits if I kind of follow that same guideline each time. So now let's take a look at the snare drum. Now I've already put on the new head, same deal, checked the bearing edge, make sure that it was consistent. I've got this finger tight, so it's not any pitch yet, so it's still very loose. Okay, I'm going to again just bring it up just a little bit, so I'm taking out the flab. Now on a snare drum, it's kind of a very different concept than on a tom in that we really want to have the pitch fairly high. And typically, what I like to do is I like to tune a snare drum consistently, no matter what size the drum is. Okay, so for example, this is a 5.5-inch deep snare drum. I'm going to tune this pretty much the same that I would tune a 3.5-inch piccolo or a 6.5-inch drum. The drum is going to give me the different sound, the depth, the material, all those types of things. So I'm going to tune it pretty much the same way. And again, I'm going back and forth. So now I've got a little bit of pitch, okay, not much. Now I have the bottom head loose on this as well because I wanted to show you how to go about doing that. Now if you need to change your snares, you have to loosen them at the ends of where they connect onto your throw-off, and then remove those, then put on the new head. And you should change your bottom snare head fairly often because they get quite a bit of wear. Now the bottom head usually I'm going to tune very tight. I'm going to give it quite a bit of tension. And the best way to feel that is to put your thumbs into the head and push into it, and if it doesn't give much back to you, then you're there. I'm not there yet because it's given quite a bit. So I'm going to tune it up even tighter. And again, back and forth between the different lugs. All right, that should get us there. Now we're going to go back up to the top, to the batter head, and now I'm going to bring this up to pitch. So again, just like we did with the floor tom, we're going to go back and forth and we're going to gradually bring it up. Now this time I'm going to go quite a bit past just taking the flabs out until I start to really get a higher pitch on it. Okay, so now I'm going to tap and kind of hear where I'm at as far as the pitch. Again, finger in the middle so I can hear the more specific pitches. So we're about there. Now this is not super tight. It's kind of in between. Now on the snares, you have the snare throw off here. And this really adjusts the way the snares respond to when you hit the head. And we're get these wires to really respond the way you want them to respond. I can feel already this is kind of tight, and I'll show you the differences as to what that makes when you're playing the drum. Now I'm going to tap the drum lightly. The snares are on. Now if you notice, as I tap it lightly, I'm not getting a lot of snare sound. So as I loosen up the snares, lo and behold, I get better snare sound. I get more snare response. Now this isn't nearly tight enough, in my opinion. As I push down, I still have some room there. So I'm going to take it up quite a bit more so I can really get a nice, solid rim shot sound out of my snare drum. And again, if you're doing this on different sized drums, you're going to get a different sound and a different characteristic depending on the drum and on the size of the drum. So that really tightens up the sound, and I didn't really do anything. So you have an adjustment. Let's say you like a more open, ringy kind of a snare sound. You can loosen those snares and get that, or you can really tighten them up and you get a much more choked kind of a snare sound, a more controlled snare sound. So that's changing heads on a snare drum. Please feel free to call us here at Sweetwater, talk to your sales engineer. If you've got questions about a particular drum head or how to get the right snare drum for the right sound that you're going for. It's absolutely what all of us here as sales engineers are trained to do, and we'd be more than happy to have that conversation and get you set up with the right drum for the kinds of things that you're trying to do. Thanks so much.